Aloha everyone. I wanted to go over the features of my new TD1200 Hydrogen Generator. And it operates at both 120 and 240 volts. So it's good in other countries like Australia, Japan, or South Africa as well that run on 240 volts. This creates hydrogen with a proton exchange membrane between the electrodes of the electrolyzer. And so it separates the hydrogen and oxygen that it creates. And on the top here, you have the ports for the hydrogen and oxygen. You have 2 ports for hydrogen and 1 port for oxygen. Now, these are plugged right now because it's not in use. And when it ships from the factory, they're all plugged. All 3 ports are plugged. But when you begin using it, you need to unplug all 3 ports. Okay, to get it ready for use. When it comes to you, it's empty of water. And here it shows the water level down here as well as on the side. There's a water level gauge that you can see the water level. But it's very hard to see the water level because it's very clear water. On the back of the system, it has vent ports for air circulation. And it also has 3 ports on the bottom here. And 1 port is for water input, and it has a pump inside that when it detects that it's low on water, it'll automatically turn on the pump. And if you have a hose connected to this and that hose is in a bottle of distilled water, it will automatically start pumping the water from that bottle into the system until it's full, and then the pump will stop. The other port is a drain port, and it's called an automatic drain port or outlet, and it's used when you want to empty the system of water via a pump, an internal pump. And on the display there'll be a little icon for a water faucet, and you click that, and then it'll ask you if you want to turn the drain pump on. And so you'd want to connect a hose to this. Just unplug this port, put a hose on it, and put it into a bottle or the sink, wherever you want to drain your water, and it will turn on and drain the water out of the system until it's empty, and then it will turn the pump off. Now, this port is a drain port that's on all the time. There's no pump associated with it. It's just connected to the water reservoir inside. And so if you want to manually drain the system, you would take this port off. Now, I have water inside the system, so when I remove this, water will start pouring out, and it doesn't stop until it's totally drained. So you need to have this next to a sink where you want to drain the water, or you connect a hose to it, but water's going to be coming out of there, so you're going to be putting a hose while the water's coming out. Now you can use that hose to put it in a bottle or put it in the sink. And then we have an on-off switch here. And we have some warnings as well. You want to use this system in a ventilated room, so you don't want to have a closed up room with no ventilation, and you don't want flames nearby. You don't want open flames nearby. On the top of the system, you have a water reservoir port that you can fill the system with distilled water through this port just by taking this off and filling it. Or you can fill it automatically just by connecting your water bottle to this automatic input port. And then it will just draw water into the system until it's full. When you receive your system, it will be empty of water. And when you turn it on, it will complain that you need to add water. Before you turn it on, though, you can fill it automatically just by getting a bottle of distilled water. Here I have a gallon of distilled water. And they supply a tube, a silicone tube that you can just put inside the distilled water and attach the other end to the automatic water input. And so now it's connected. You can leave this water bottle connected even while you're using the system, and whenever it detects that it needs water, it'll automatically draw water from the connected water bottle that you have. But for first time use, we've now connected the water bottle. When you turn the power on to the system, you'll see that the LCD display will come up, and then it'll show that it's a hydrogen generator. Now you touch the screen and it will go to the default screen, and this shows that it's producing 1200 milliliters per minute of gas that's coming out of these ports up here. Now you could reduce this by 25% to 900 milliliters per minute, and you can reduce it to 50% or 600 milliliters per minute. I typically run it at 1200 milliliters per minute to bubble water and to breathe the gas, or to apply to my skin. Over here, we have the temperature, the internal temperature of the generator, and when that goes above 34 degrees centigrade, a cooling fan will come on internal to the unit, and that cooling fan will stay on until it reduces the temperature below 34 degrees centigrade. In the center, we have a TDS sensor in parts per million, and you want to keep this below 30 parts per million. And if you use pure distilled water, then you should have always a reading of 0 parts per million, total dissolved solids. If you run the system with higher levels of solids, it will eventually plug up the electrolyzer inside the system. And that electrolyzer may stop working if it accumulates too much solids in the electrolyzer. So always try to keep this at 0. And then the setting here is the number of minutes you want to be turned on, you want to run the system. And that can be increased or decreased 30 minutes at a time. And it can go up to 6 hours. So 360 minutes or 6 hours of continuous use. I typically run it 30 minutes at a time. This button is to turn the system on. And then you'll see a little water motion graphic. And you also see a light LED on the right-hand corner. And up on top, you can see a little bit of bubbles coming out of the hydrogen port. So it's creating gas now, both hydrogen and oxygen. And down here, you'll see the hydrogen being created in these two ports. The oxygen is being created into the water reservoir here, and it has a tube that runs out to the oxygen port. This little LED icon over here controls the lighting, the backlighting down here, showing the bubbles coming out. And if I were to hit that, it dims, and then you see the light turn off here. Now, after a minute of use, the LCD screen will also dim. When the system has stopped running, you'll see the motion, the graphic of the water going back and forth, and you'll see the bubbling has stopped, and the blue LED lights that are backlighting these two ports have turned off. And you'll see the display of a little water faucet. That little water faucet is used when you want to drain the system of water. So when you want to drain the system of water, you connect an empty water bottle with at least 2 liters of room in the bottle, because the system can contain up to 3 liters of water. And you attach it to the output, the automatic output drain port. So here on the right-hand side. And so that goes into this bottle here. When you drain the system, you want to take off this cap to allow air to come in as it's being drained. And now you press this button here. And now it asks you, do you need to drain the water? And then you press yes. And now it begins draining water. And you can hear the pump come on. And now it's pushing water out of the system. Now, if I touch the button, it will stop. So I'm going to continue draining the water until it's empty, and then I'll show you what it's like when you turn on the automatic water input port. Okay, I've just emptied the system of water through the drain pump, and it had been running. When it detected that all the water is out of the system, it automatically turned off the pump. So now it's sitting here and it has no water. If I were to turn the system on now, it's going to run a little bit. It's actually turned on the input pump because it knows that it needs water. And because I don't have it connected to the water input, it comes up with this message, if you can see. It says, please add water. So now, whenever you add water, first thing you want to do is take the cap off, okay? Because air is going to be going in or out of this water reservoir. As you add water, air will be coming out, and as you drain water, it wants to suck air in. So you want this cap off in both conditions, whether you're adding water or draining water. Okay, so now in the case that I'm adding water, I want to take at least, I want a bottle of at least 2 liters of water. In this case, I have a gallon or 4 liters. And I want to connect the hose that I have to the automatic water input, which is the center of this. Connect that in. And then you come over here. Whenever you have this display up, hitting the run button will not cause it to start because it's detected that it doesn't have enough water. So in this condition, you need to turn the system off and back on, and then hit the run button. So we'll do that now. We'll come back here. We'll turn the system off. Then turn the system on. The screen will come alive again. We'll activate it, and now we'll turn it on. Now, it knows that it's low on water, so it turns on the pump. And so you can see here that it's slowly draining this bottle, and it's pumping water into the system until it's full. And you can hear the pump running as it does that. When the system is drawing in water, it's not running, so it's not creating gas. And you know that because you don't see any bubbles coming on these port windows. So now it'll run until it fills with water. Now the system has detected that it has sufficient water, and the pump is still running. It's still drawing in water into the system. But now that it knows that it has enough water, it turns on gas creation. So now it's creating gas coming out of these ports. And the pump is still running. It's drawing in water from the system. And it's coming out of this water bottle here, and it's connected there to the water input port. And it will continue drawing water in until the system is full of water. It can draw in up to 3 liters of water. Okay, the system has detected that it is full of water, and it's still running, but the pump is turned off. You hear the noise from the pump turning off. And if you look at the bottle over here, it's drawn in about 3/4 of the water. So the water level is here right now. And I started, the water level was here. So about 3/4 of a gallon is drawn in. And I emptied it completely before I started. Now that the system is full, you put the cap on. And make sure to press it on all the way. In order to use the gas, you have to decide what type of gas you want to use. So they provide you with a 3-way tubing system as well as a 2-way tubing system to attach to the gas output ports. So if you wanted to breathe Brown's gas or a pseudo Brown's gas, because the machines that I have been producing produce nothing but Brown's gas, and it uses an electrolyzer. It does not use a membrane in between the electrodes, so it doesn't separate the gas. The gas is always combined, oxygen and hydrogen. So I've been breathing and using this machine since 2020, so 6 years. So when you're getting ready to use the gas, you have 2 tubing sections to use. One is you can attach it to all 3 ports. So you can combine the hydrogen with the oxygen, like so. And now you can put your breathing tube or you can put your water bubbling tube on this port, and you'll have pseudo Brown's gas. So it's a combination of hydrogen and oxygen. And I call it pseudo Brown's gas because the system that I normally create doesn't use a membrane to separate the gases out. It's always combined. And for this system, it's true Brown's gas. So it's created combined. So when you use the gas to breathe or bubble water, you're always using combined hydrogen and oxygen gas. Whereas the system here, the hydrogen generator, you can choose what type of gas you want to use. So in this configuration, it's Brown's gas. But if you don't want to use Brown's gas and you just want to use hydrogen gas, then you have this tubing here that is supplied to you, and you just connect it to the hydrogen ports. And now you connect your cannula to this or your tubing that goes to your water bubbler. I found that the use of hydrogen gas is much more potent than the combination of the 3 together. And I've also found that if you're comparing Brown's gas where you're using the 3 of them together compared to the Brown's gas over here, as far as the effectiveness for health, I found it to be about the same. But I found that if you just use hydrogen, I think it's more potent than using Brown's gas. Even the Brown's gas over here, I found that it's faster in the results obtained and more potent. So the results last longer. Now the system comes with 4 cannulas, and they have a condenser built into the tubing, so it condenses any water that's in the gas additionally. And so when this condenser fills up, you would empty it. I typically don't use a cannula with a condenser, so I don't use this type of cannula typically. But this is the type of cannula they provide. And in order to hook it up, you just put the end of the cannula onto the tube here. So now you have your cannula hooked up here. And now you just put this in your nostrils to breathe it. If you want to bubble water, you can use the hose that they provide. They provide a 3-foot long hose, and you can attach it to the gas output. So I've got it connected to the gas output. In this case, it's just hydrogen, and put the other tube into water that you want to bubble. So I have my own water bubbler that I've created so that I have a port out of the top of the bottle where I could breathe the gas or use the gas while I'm bubbling the water in it. And it goes into an aerator at the bottom here to maximize the contact of the hydrogen gas with the water. And then you attach the other end to the gas output here.